Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I wanted to showcase a behind the scenes look at a recent campaign I shot for AirAsia and American Tourister. This is a really fun run and gun situation where I shot both photos and videos. And before I hop into the whole BTS, let me go ahead and show you the final edit I finished for this campaign. So this is the first video in a new series I want to start on this channel called Frame of Mind. And in Frame of Mind, basically I want to take you behind the scenes of my client shoots, my client level shoots, and just talk about shooting techniques, editing techniques, and kind of everything that goes into creating works for clients and just professional level content. Okay, so before we hop into the prep day and the shoot day and just exactly how this whole flow went, let me talk a little bit about the ideation and how this project came to be. One of my really good friends, Taku, you might know him as Taku Beats, is actually the current creative director of AirAsia. And he reached out to me in July with an idea for this Fun Seekers project, basically a collaboration between AirAsia and American Tourister. And he just wanted to pick my brain on whether or not I'd be interested and available to come to Malaysia, Kuala Lumpur, and shoot both the photos and videos for this campaign. Now I'm lucky enough where I've worked with Taku in the past and he understands exactly my style, the type of work that I produce. And in these situations, it's really easy to go ahead and pitch different ideas and kind of get your creative vision more fluidly across and overall pitch your creative ideas exactly how you envision them. This episode of Frame of Mind is brought to you by Milanote. I use Milanote extensively throughout the process of ideation and figuring out the pre-production and storyboard for this entire shoot, not just for the video, but also for the stills. For this particular project, I just have everything organized, and this is how I have most of my projects organized in Milanote. And so just talking you through it a little bit here. On the left-hand side, we have just kind of some basic information. I like to plan and add any sort of like briefs. So here I have a couple different briefs, just kind of overviews, PDFs that you may have shared with your clients, stuff like that. Before I hop into the gear and my checklist, what I like to do is go ahead and create some inspiration mood boards for the overall project. And so for photos, a lot of times I like to pull up reference images. Here I have a bunch of solo shots, a bunch of solo reference posing for what I thought would be great for this particular campaign. And then I have a bunch of duo shots because this campaign had two talents. So I wanted to also have a bunch of different angles that I like to use for reference. For storyboard, I like to organize everything kind of just in a rough format. For instance, I actually went back and forth with the brand and they ended up compiling everything into a document. But the nice thing about Milanote is you can go ahead and take that and add it in here just so you have everything concisely organized. So I like to have these in my inspiration area, and also I have the music that we used for this video already clicked and dragged in here, so we have all of that for reference at any point in time. Another thing I like to do with my Milanotes is I like to organize the gear that I'm going to need for the shoot, and so this is something that as I'm packing, I can just go ahead and check off here. Super satisfying once these things are checked off. The other things I like to keep in my Milanotes are my shoot day information. So this is the call sheet that we use for this particular project. As you can see here, we've got the shot list broken down even further. I work with the brand to really get that nailed in, as well as a timeline here. A lot of times I like to keep another text version just of our shot list or just the overall schedule. And finally, I also like to keep my deliverables where I finally export all of my files and hand them to the client. I like to keep that here as well in case I ever want to go back to this Milanote. I think Milanote is one of the easiest ways and the most visually appealing way. I'm just such a visual person to have everything organized in a really neat and clean manner. And I just love the way that you can organize everything on this platform. If you're interested in checking out Milanote, go ahead and click the link in the description. Thank you, Milanote, for sponsoring this video. One of the key aspects of this particular project and most of the projects that I work on is that it needed to be posted both on social media and it needed to be sized in various different dimensions for banners and in physical locations. So with this in mind, this kind of dictates how you shoot and frame a lot of your shots, both in pre-production and on final shoot day. For photos, that means you shoot wide enough where you can crop in either to really kind of get a long horizontal shot, or you just get a mix and match of both vertical and horizontal shots of the same exact scene. For video, it's a little bit more difficult. That means you have to shoot a little bit wider so that you can then go ahead and crop in for socials for 9x16, but also have enough coverage to shoot for 60 16:9 and have stuff for web and even wider aspect ratios. So after a little bit of back and forth with Taku and a couple calls, I went back and forth with the team on a bunch of pre-production, a bunch of references, shots, locations. Because I couldn't do a recce or a location scout prior to this shoot was literally, we shot this in 24 hours and we did prep for like 12 hours a day before. So it's a really short time frame for this overall shoot. So luckily the AirAsia team had a few people go out and find some locations that looked cool. I reviewed them with the team and we decided on 4 major locations that we'd shoot on production days. So after we landed in Kuala Lumpur on day 1, all we did was we went directly to the production house and we went into some meetings just to discuss how the shoot day would go the following day and sort of develop and revise our mood boards and storyboards and figure out a plan of attack to really get the most efficient shoot schedule out from the following day. So if this is like the walkway, right, and the train's over there, right, so this is the platform, the cabin attendants would be basically walking across my frame of view,
Got it.
right? Kind of like almost similarly. So as they walk past,
is it parallel walking distance? Walking direction?
Almost parallel.
Okay.
But I think they're gonna be walking. So imagine if I'm shooting and they're standing in those shoes right there. The cabin attendants gonna walk this way.
Okay.
So as they walk past, you can see them standing with their suitcases as if they had just arrived.
So wow, option. This is in Palasani, which is the
nearby,
first location
nearby.
nearby.
Nearby where we stay.
So there's this intersection here that you can have a lot of foreground, and then you have the option of something less cultural and more like it's right there.
This is where the florist.
Yeah.
Correct.
I think most shots are actually gonna be focused on him. They'll probably be like on a 50mm, 24mm, kind of like mostly on the camera, and then we'll do some movements like scenery, like see it'll be like kind of tight shots of him, but also I'll probably
Like a super wide like art shot.
I would love to do this shot.
The reference is pretty complex.
Yeah.
You can get away with that here, I reckon.
Exactly.
You put them here. And then
So
you
I'll
shoot
probably
them
come with like
across
a 200 or something.
Yeah.
Kind of fun.
While Tsubasa and I were just organizing our shot list and working on location updates, Taku is working with the other team to create some very cool detailed shots of the products with local items. And that was cool to see the BTS of how they were doing that. Tsubasa and I were pretty busy really figuring out the total schedule for the next day, because as we were looking at it, we'd have a really early start, but not only that, we had a lot of shots to fill in to this very tight schedule, as you'll see.
Elements, but also having it's just a suitcase or what?
Like the stills.
Yeah. What else would be? Maybe if I need props that we could use, but
I've had one in Vietnam for
do we have like a reflector?
Yeah.
Maybe just a couple, maybe portrait shots of her, maybe just reflecting some light, just get a nice feel. That's kind of all the light I think I need.
So
The only other worry I had was at night
you wanna
for
do
the
some-
DJ scene.
Yeah, we're still deciding on the.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out if we shoot that
You're shooting you.
outside or do we need to fit that into like an indoor? We just have like she could be sitting with the suitcase. I don't know if this is like on the right, like a suitcase and she like control it on top of the
that's true.
suitcase.
It's like
it's a block party type.
It's almost as she's like playing like she's mixing like maybe like on a quick stop like as she's walking through the streets. In that case, it doesn't really matter where it is. You know what I mean? Yeah. Because it'd be such a tight shot anyways. Okay. I'll build out the 4:30 to 5 area because I think that's the second time we shoot the solo scene, right?
Yes.
Would be great.
But if we have very nearby places, we
That would
can
be perfect.
Yeah,
we
that would be
extend
perfect. That would be
length,
ideal. Yeah, that would be much
longer
better.
time for you to
Yeah.
shoot there. But wouldn't it be our concern? Wouldn't it be very similar with Olive?
Olive is more red, right?
So
it's
for
like
Olive one, it's planning to be more cultural, the more Chinese kind of element inside.
Yes.
Yes, like this.
yeah. So I'm looking for maybe brighter tones. Like we'll play with like the backdrop being I think for the street photography one we'll do a little more concrete, a little bit more muted.
Okay.
After a lot of back and forth on prep, we felt pretty confident and we were ready for shoot day. So the way that we structured this shoot was I decided that I wanted to shoot videos, then stills, then videos, then stills, just kind of alternating between the two so that in each location, I could go ahead and focus on the video shots first and then get my still photos and just do that for each location so that I have a good variety of beauty photos that we could use for the campaign afterwards. The first location was Chinatown.
Do you have a point and shoot?
Camera?
Yeah. I just think with the two strappy things, unless you got a wrist strap for them.
Is it possible to remove the strap? Yes. Yeah, it's easy, yeah.
You want to put some AirAsia and play with, I want this color to good though. Here we started with Hiep around 8 o'clock. Our call time was around 6:37 a.m. So we prepped everything and we're ready to shoot by 8 a.m. And what we started on with were a few gimbal shots. And for the majority of these shots, I think I ended up using the DJI RS3 along with the Sony FX3 and the 24mm 1.4 lens. For these kind of shoots, I like to keep my rig really small because as a solo shooter, you're not really gonna wanna carry around heavy rigs and too much gear, especially when you're in such a run and gun situation where we have permits, but we don't have a lot of lighting because a lot of this is shot outdoors. So in terms of lighting, a lot of times all we used was just a reflector or a really soft, small diffuser, just to diffuse the light a little bit, reshape the light just a little bit. But a lot of this was shot with natural light and just figuring out different angles to make your talent look the most appealing. Yeah, probably just with your glasses. Just give me a couple different ones. Yeah. If it's too bright, you let me know. It's fine. Okay. Yeah, do it a couple times. Just keep going. If it's too bright, you let me know. Okay. Yeah, do it a couple times. Just keep going. Yeah, one more. Uh-huh. Yeah, one more. I'll cut to this there. So basically in your hand, right hand. Camera. Yep. Walking. So walk. Kind of looking side to side. You can look that way. Yeah. And you're walk this way. Almost like you've seen a shot. So you're walking. Pause. Look. Nah, you gotta walk that way. Just do it a couple times. Okay. Let's do that. You can keep them on. I'll do the tight ones without them on.
When you pause here, just like as you're about to take a photo, but then you die.
And well, there you go. Okay, and then stop again. Just stop in that light right there. Just like look around. Look to your right. Yeah, that's amazing. Kind of do a couple turns around like you're surveying the area. Yeah. Cool. Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, it's sick. One more time. Start from your left and rotate to your right clockwise. Start your left more. Turn your body more left. Yeah, and then you're gonna rotate clockwise, okay? And go. One of the key things here for having a very quick change between lenses and systems is having an AC or first assistant. And in this case, Zach was amazing. He was able to switch out lenses whenever I needed it, switch between my photo setup and my video setup. But for here, we started out with just some gimbal shots, just getting a variety of kind of hero shots and also shots for the beginning of the video. As you'll see here, I like to shoot maybe just 1 or 2 takes of each scene, just because I'd rather have more variety of different scenes than the same scene shot 5 or 6 times and knowing that I nailed it on one of those takes. When you have a much shorter time frame, for instance, we had about an hour and a half to shoot both video and stills for this, you're on go mode the whole time. So I'd rather just get a bunch of different angles and sort of roam around with my talent than stick to a really hardcore shot list. So a lot of this you'll see is I'm just roaming around
and finding different angles, trying to figure out what works. And one of the nice things was having Taku with the iPad and monitor just in my ear, telling me if I needed a little bit slower shot, maybe frame the actual product better. These are the sort of things that it's nice to have a producer or a director in the background or creative director talking to you and giving guidance, as when you're in the shooting mode, it's very difficult to always keep these things in mind. You're trying to figure out what the best kind of aesthetic shot is, whereas a producer's role or someone who's a creative director can give you guidance on whether or not they need more of the product, which is the most important part of this whole process, or whether you can just slow down, or if you have more time and you can spend more time in a certain location or not.
And you're gonna stop, and almost like you're not gonna just stop still. You're gonna walk to a edge, like walking, and you're gonna stop, and kind of give me like a little bit of a, maybe not that over exaggerated. That's good enough. Okay. For a couple of these shots, the reflector came in super handy, and it just pulls off a really pleasing light source when you can frame it and reflect it the right way to really enhance your subject and fill in those key features. One thing I find myself doing a lot is backlighting my subject and then using the reflector to fill in, to give it like a front fill from an angle. I feel like for the grade also, when you have front-facing light, front-facing key light, it's just not as pleasing. So backlighting your subject and then having a key light or reflector come in and fill is a much easier way to shoot this with minimal lighting. Switching between the video and photo components, as you can see here, I'm just rocking with the Canon R5 and the 28-70 zoom lens, or sometimes I use the 8-15 fisheye lens on an EF adapter. So in terms of timeline, I knew I had to stick to a very precise schedule. And for this first series of photos and videos, I knew I had an hour and a half. And in my mind, I tried to divide that into about 45 to 55 minutes of video shooting, and then the remaining time would be shot doing photos, because I knew I didn't need as many photos as I would need as many video shots for this campaign. So that's where Tsubasa came in super clutch, and he just kept me on track, told me, hey, you have 5 minutes, hey, we're pushing over, or things like that. Having a little bit of help just in terms of time and knowing exactly whether or not you feel comfortable, or even if you don't feel comfortable, you really don't have enough time and you need to move on to the next location. For most of these, I think I just rock with a Profoto B10 strobe light with a 3-foot Octa softbox. And that was just really providing that sort of same lighting scenario for video, where I used the sun as the backlight and filled in most of the features from an angle, usually a 45-degree angle, with this strobe light. The light's just super soft. It's so easy to take really cool photos. And it just gives you a lot more flexibility working with just one flash, because you can be a lot more nimble. And when you need to, you can have the light come closer to your subject. When you need a little bit more strength, you bump up the strength and take a few steps back to illuminate the whole body. It's really portable and one of my favorite ways to light photography in run and gun situations. After I finished a few photos, we hopped into the main transition. And the main transition for this campaign I had in mind was this sort of spin transition between Oliv's DJ set, and Hiep was gonna go ahead and spin and catch the camera. And we decided to shoot that right here in this Chinatown pedaling street, because I thought it looked super cool in the background. And you're gonna let go. Can I get a little faith? Let me just check the light. The light here. Maybe the diffusion's better. Yeah. It's so wide though that.
I see your frame.
It's so wide. Put your hand out.
Right. Okay. Hold on. I better go this side. Yeah.
Yeah, let's try that. Yeah, that's good right there. What was that?
Are you starting vertical first?
I'm starting out horizontal first.
Yeah,
that's really good.
Just for reference, when you're shooting this one, always try and have a video or the
I'm gonna come like this. And you're like you're walk away. Yeah. Let's fix his backside. Cool frame though.
Yeah.
I think it's cool. Thank you, good guys. Okay, again, yeah. I'm gonna start live, and I'm gonna let's try it. Let's do it one more time. This one, we're gonna rotate. You're gonna rotate.
It's let go.
Just like I'm gonna rotate. I'm gonna use a let go. Yeah, let go, and then you walk off.
Like you're gonna adapt to the shot, right? You're gonna adapt to the shot, right?
Oh, you're off side. Sorry, we're gonna start here again. Yeah, a little bit lower. Yeah, right there. Yep. Ready? So 3, 2, 1, go. It was super vibrant, and the light was a nice early morning light where we could just reflect some of that light, bounce it back into his face for a nice illumination of his features, and it just looked sick on the monitor from what we could tell. So we decided to shoot that main second part of that transition right here in the morning. I also did one of these fun worm's eye shots where I had the camera placed inside one of the suitcases, and I just had Hiep close the suitcase over the lens, and it gave that cool transition that he used at the end of the video. These are pretty funny to watch the BTS because the outside you can't really tell exactly what's going on, but we have the camera inside the suitcase facing directly upwards, and it's pretty funny to watch us doing this in action. And you're only gonna bring it to about right here, and you just close it as you walk. Yeah, whenever you're ready. Wait, let's do it again. This one. Might be awkward, just try it. Yeah, and go. Yeah. Perfect. Okay,
You just found it.
Yeah, whenever you're ready. Yeah, and that again. The final shot looks a lot cooler than what we were actually doing. After that, we moved on to Olive section, and we moved just down the street, and there were a lot of cool lanterns in the street, and a really cool area that we'd found the day before that we thought would be perfect for a number of her scenes.
Nice. Next one, when you.
I started off again with the same setup on the gimbal. I just had the 24mm, I think, and maybe a few shots of the 10mm. I think I shot most of these on 24mm, and I just had it wide open, I think at 1.4 with like a 6 to 9 stop variable ND. And I just try to get a lot of cool beauty shots, a lot of dynamic movement. This is also the first part of the day where Olive was shooting with us. So just getting warmed up, having her feel more comfortable, feel more dynamic, and just working into those more key shots by first doing a little bit of movement and really kind of getting her to get a little bit more comfortable and give me some interesting poses that'll be amazing for both photos and videos. So the movement there, I'm just gonna follow you walking through the street with the suitcase.
Yeah.
And just kind of like, you're like looking up. But it's mostly gonna be focused on the suitcase, so don't worry too much about like.
Okay. You want me to like stop with me?
What's that?
What? Stop with me.
Yeah, maybe like stop, kind of look around and keep going. Yeah. I'll just follow you.
Whenever you're ready. And stop and turn around. Perfect. Okay, thank you.
One of my favorite shots is actually one that we didn't really use that much in the edit, and it's where she puts on her headphones and the light is just amazing. The lighting for this was interesting. We had a bit of a diffusion to break off that sunlight, the harsh sunlight, and then we had a reflector just filling a little bit of the details to really enhance both the bag in front of her, but also her facial details. And I think the shot came out pretty cool. Try to get it on her face. Can we just do a test shot? And can you put it on? Oh, that's beautiful. That's perfect, yeah.
On your call, Joe.
Action.
One more time.
Okay, back to one. Still rolling.
Yeah, still rolling. Yep.
Action.
One more time.
Reset. Back to one.
And yep.
Still rolling. Action.
One more time. Last one.
One more time.
Um.
Stand by. Still rolling.
Yeah,
and
go.
3, 2, 1. Action.
Last one more time.
Okay, one more time, back to 1.
Yeah, and go.
Stand by, action.
Perfect, cut.
Just tip the back and then you're like grabbing with it. Yeah, just like that. Let me just...
Yeah, sure. And yep, go. After we did a bit more gimbal work, I actually moved upstairs. There's this cool terrace in this actual alleyway that I went up, and I thought it'd be great to get a few different angles, both for the video, but I actually broke out the 70 to 200 for stills on the R5.
Do you have the 70 to 300 too? Can you bring both lenses? 70 to 200 or whatever the zoom one? Okay. Yeah. Give me the RF. Give me the RF. Can we get the suitcase to her right? Maybe the big one.
What color?
Big red. Big red.
Red, red.
It's like, you just, I need flash set up. Can you get the B10 maybe? Okay, I'm gonna do a still. It looks really good. Don't fall.
Yeah, nice, cool.
And I got a lot of cool shots through these lanterns. It was really cool to try and frame her in between the lanterns and try to get some diagonal movement of the lanterns and just find different ways to frame her that looked interesting visually. We had the flash just out of frame, so you couldn't see it in the actual photos, but clearly in the BTS, we had it close enough where it would help illuminate her and also the suitcases.
If it's going behind counter, then very probably a backlighter as such. Right. Trying to get head on with her. Let me just see it. Okay, stop. Better. Okay, lock. Yeah, it's good.
For a couple of these shots, we took off the softbox and just had it strobed directly at her from an angle to kind of give an interesting harsh angle of light. I also did a few different passes of me walking parallel with her. I was up on the second floor and she was walking the street, and I was just walking with her with the gimbal. These are a couple cool shots as well.
And whenever you're ready, go. Yeah. Okay. Walk that way.
I kept switching between the 24 and the 10mm just because I felt the 10mm did a great job of enhancing the overall environment of the shots. I really wanted to showcase the vibrant atmosphere and the location that we were shooting in. And sometimes when you shoot with too tight of a lens, for say like a 50mm or 35mm, sometimes you get a bit too tight on your subject and it's hard to tell exactly where they are. That's where the beauty of, especially the 10mm, but even the 24mm, it's great at being wide enough, but also not being too, I mean, the 10mm is pretty distorted, but the 24mm is a nice in between of being a super wide lens, but also being a prime lens where you can really stop and punch into your subject, but also showcase the environment. All right, funny story. This next section is in front of a shop where originally we had this section planned in front of like a gardening shop, and it was all just green and it was really bland. We quickly during lunch was like, I was talking to Tsubasa, I was like, hey, we need to find like a cooler looking spot. So literally right next door to the restaurant that we're eating at was this really cool, I guess it's like a souvenir shop. I'm not exactly sure what exactly this guy was selling. He's a super nice guy. But now that I'm watching back, I think he was like a pottery shop. If you know exactly what kind of shops these are, let me know in the comments. But he was a super nice guy. He allowed us to film in front of his store, and we just decided, let's set up right here. Let's get a DJ turntable set up right here. And I thought it was a really amazing location, not only for stills. I think my favorite photo from this campaign I shot right here. And also I thought it was a great location to do the initial DJ section and spin of this main transition I had in my mind.
For your back.
Yeah, I'm shooting. Yep.
Okay.
After a few B-roll shots of her acting like she was working on the actual turntable, we switched out the actual turntables for this Lazy Susan, or this rotating table where we put the camera facing directly upwards and it was spinning in a 360-degree motion. After we set that up, all I had Olive do was basically act like she was putting her hand directly on the lens and then just give it a gentle push, because I knew in post, if I just had it push and go, 3 or 4 revolutions, I could speed ramp this, reverse this. There's a bunch of different things that we could do in post. I just knew that if she just put her hand on it and just pushed slowly, it would give me a lot more flexibility in the edit. So that's exactly what I had her do.
3, stop, give me a little space, and 3, 2, yep. Good, good.
3, 2, yeah.
For the video, I don't think I used any sort of light. It was just totally natural light. For the photos, this particular section, I ended up using the 8-15. It's an EF lens, but I mounted it to RF through an adapter, and I just had this with 2 lights, one B10 in the background, lighting the actual space, because if you could tell, the actual space behind her looks bright in this final image, but it's actually a really dark, dimly lit shop. So we had one B10 just strobe facing into the wall, flashing the background, and the other B10 with a 3-foot octave softbox in front to the left, just providing that main key fill light to her face to the actual suitcase. And that's exactly how we lit these photos. These are probably some of my favorite photos from the entire trip. All right, so at this point, this was around 2:30, 3, we moved to the third major location. And the third major location was this amazing railway station, this retro looking railway station that we ended up shooting a majority of the video content at. For the main reveal intro shot, and I actually used this shot to showcase the Fun Seekers title sequence in the actual video, that's kind of the main reveal shot of when we first introduced the 2 main hero characters for this campaign. And I knew for this shot, I thought it would be really cool to have 2 cabin crew attendants and their iconic red AirAsia. All AirAsia cabin crew attendants wear this like really vibrant red suit combo with a skirt. They're unmistakable. And I wanted to have them basically walk past. And as we walk past, I wanted to dolly, I say dolly, but just literally ninja walk past them into the reveal of the 2 main characters.
Hey, rolling?
Yeah.
Stand by, and 3, 2, 1, action. Good, good. I'm good. I like that.
This shot was a lot more difficult than I anticipated because I didn't have a follow focus and I wanted to do this autofocus, but the autofocus caught the cabin crew attendants as I walked past them, and then it took a second to like focus because they were so far away on them. So what I think I ended up doing was I had a touch focus on them. I started the movement and then I canceled the touch focus as soon as I passed the cabin crew attendants. And so it basically was like locked focus and then autofocus after that. And I think it worked. This is not the best way to do this. I wish if someone has a better way to do that, let me know. But this was unintentionally probably the most difficult shot of the whole day. The next sequence of shots was a cool rigging shot that I had in mind, especially with a 10mm where we'd rig the camera onto the suitcase and Hiep would pull it through kind of like the walkway. And I actually used it in the intro sequence.
It's fine, it's fine. Okay. Rolling and go. Action. And turn.
We also had a really cool idea of a shot where we'd rig basically the camera. What are these called again? Snorri cam. We had this really cool shot that I'd storyboarded out for a Snorri cam shot, but at this point in the day, we were already pushed past our schedule because we had a bit of difficulty getting to the location due to traffic. So actually what ended up happening was we were in the middle of rigging it and I was just like, it's just taking too much time. So I had to axe it. Unfortunately, the crew was a little bummed out that we couldn't use this rig that they spent a lot of time the day before building. But unfortunately, when you get to a specific shoot and timeline, you have to make these executive decisions where, is it worth the amount of time we're putting in to get this single shot? And at the end of the day, I felt like, although it would have been maybe a cool split scene, it was gonna take like 30 to 45 minutes total to get everything kind of set up. And I didn't think it was worth that time at that point in the day. And I think if we'd actually done that, I probably would have lost a lot of light later. So I was happy that, I mean, I wasn't happy that we cut it, but I was happy that I was able to make that decision when I was editing it, because I was like, damn, if we hadn't got these other shots at the end, I would have been screwed. And finally, we moved to a final location of the day. I thought it was going to be the ending shot, and we had planned it in the storyboards to be this ending shot of ending with the KL Twin Towers in the background and me walking backwards as Hiep and Oliv walked past me. We ended up shooting it, and in the V1 of the edit, I feel like we wanted to end on a shot of them like together enjoying themselves. So what we actually ended up doing was using one of the station shots as a final shot for where we placed the logos in the final edit. But this final scene was actually in my mind when we storyboarded everything out, was the final scenes of what we were gonna shoot. And yeah, after that, I finished off with a few different product-centric photos, and we wrapped around, I think like 8:30 p.m., maybe 9. So basically throughout the day, we started at like 6:37, and we were basically nonstop until maybe like 8:39. But when you're shooting both photos and videos, it's gotta be expected. Like that was even pushing it in terms of the number of locations, the different setups we had, and just overall how the flow of the video and photos went. So that was behind the scenes of how I shot this campaign for AirAsia and American Tourister. It was a pretty exhausting shoot day, as you could probably tell. But it's a lot of fun, especially to see the final output, this final edit that I was able to somehow put together. For the most part, I would say that it pretty much followed the flow of my pre-production and the idea that I had. But actually, the final edit came out quite a bit different than what I had initially kind of talked with Taku through and the team. And I think everybody was really happy with how the final video came out. And myself personally, I also think it was a really fun and vibrant edit. And I think it kind of just showcased the concept of fun seeking and traveling and kind of the chaos of everything that goes behind both travel and this campaign overall. Some takeaways from this campaign, I would definitely say I wouldn't recommend shooting both photos and videos in a single day for a campaign, just because, I mean, I can do it, but it's not something I could do regularly. It's a very difficult. Your mind is in like two different places when you're shooting photos and videos, because the way you frame photos and videos, especially videos when you're thinking about how you're gonna crop them for socials, there's just so many different things that you have to juggle and so many different things that you have to keep in mind. So I'd highly recommend, if you're gonna shooting this and hiring somebody to do one or the other. So whether that be you shoot the photos and somebody or your buddy takes care of, or you have a DP that takes care of the video, or vice versa. I mean, I know for a lot of higher end client jobs, there's obviously a director, creative director, a much larger team. There is a pretty large team involved in production of assisting me throughout the day. But at the end of the day, you have a lot of responsibility as a person capturing to get a very high quality asset out at all times. Having pressure in these kind of situations, it's a lot of fun, but it's also really taxing. So I don't think you can do it super consistently, but when it comes off, it's cool. When it doesn't come off, it's draining and it sucks, and yeah.
Hello.
If you have any questions on this particular shoot, any of the techniques that I showcased, or any questions in general, feel free to leave in the comments below. I'll try to get back to everybody. If you're interested in supporting the channel, feel free to check out my store. I recently released a new LUT pack. This LUT pack is exactly what I used to color grade this entire campaign, and what I use to color grade everything. And not only do I have LUT packs, I've also got sound effects, a sound effects pack, which I also use very heavily throughout this commercial and almost all of my video projects. So if you're interested, check those out. It'll be linked below. Thanks again for watching to the very end, and I'll see you guys in the next one.
NC.